Good day, everyone. The topic that I choose from the book Forensic Chemistry and Toxicology is the chapter 11, which is the entitled Fire and Arson Investigation. So, in this chapter includes fire definition, objectives and purpose of fire investigation, classification of fire investigation, incendiary fire, issues in fire investigation, arson investigation, technical aspects of arson cases, causes of fire, natural causes of fire, combustion, nature and behavior of fire, the definition of combustion, two types of combustion, which is the flaming and the glowing, complete combustion and incomplete combustion, explosive triangle, color of smoke and odor being evolved, application of heat to fire investigation, transfer of heat, directory, transfer of heat, deconduction, convection, and radiation. Two types of heat reaction, which is the exothermic and the endothermic. Exothermic, and the endothermic. So, there are source of ignition also. The 6 source of ignition. So, those are primary igniters, lighters, sparks or the arcs, hot object or the surface, friction and other source of ignitions. Then, lastly is the laboratory identification. But first, let me introduce myself. So, hi sir, Mr. Roger Anthony Asinas Gamali. By the way, I am Charis Antoinette Agores, third year criminology student. So, so before we proceed to my topic, let me differentiate first the fire and arson investigator. So, when we differentiate fire and arson investigator, fire investigator will attempt to determine the cause and origin of fire, while in the other hand, arson investigator will try to determine who is responsible for setting a fire. So, fire and arson investigators are both examine the physical attributes of fire scene and identify and collect physical evidence from the scene. So, fire defined as a chemical reaction or rapid oxidation that produces physical effects with evolution of heat and light. So this reaction is called combustion. When we define combustion, it is a burning reaction in which a substance combines with a gas, heat and light used with a gas. So heat and light usually accompanied by combustion reaction, and most of these reaction involve oxygen. So the example of this combustion is hydrogen combined with oxygen will undergo rapid oxidation and produces water and heat. So fire investigation is the comprehensive analytical approach by understanding the fundamental property of fire by determining the chemistry of fires, fuels, and combustion. It is advantageous for an investigator and lawyer on case if they have at least basic knowledge about fire. So, objectives and purpose of fire investigation. There are 4. So, first, to save lives and to prevent injuries. Second is to determine the origin and the cause of fire. Third is to provide proof of fact during trial. Then lastly is to prepare to defend those conclusions in rational and logical manner supported by scientific valid data. So classification of fire. There are 5 classifications. So first classification of fire is the natural. When we talk about natural, it is sun rays are focused by bubbles in window panes, shaving mirrors or by some other peculiarly shaped glass article, which may serve as convex lens. So second is the accidental. Accidental is happening by chance or the unintentional or unexpectedly happen. Then third is the origin or the o- third is the origin, unknown origin or the causes of fire. Then fourth is the suspicious. Suspicious, it means that it means that causing one to have the idea or impression that something or someone is of questionable. So dishonest or dangerous character or condition. Then fifth is the incendiary. So incendiary or the obvious arson is the relating to the criminal setting on fire of property, tending to arouse strife, sedition, and etc. Inflammatory, incendiary speeches tending to inflame the senses. So, when incendiary, it is also the design or the cause, design to cause fire. So, cause incendiary fire. Incendiary fire is the largest and most obvious fire investigated. The primordial intent is to destroy of property or the properties of another. So, issues in fire investigation. There are 3 issues of fire investigation. So, first is the lack of time. Second is the misidentified as accidental fire due to lack of experience. And the third is the intentionally made to avoid complication of identifying a fire as a criminal act or long investigative time generates negative publicity on the community. Let's move to the arson investigation. So under the law, arson is the malicious burning or burning of dwelling house or building of another. In all fires, there must be a cause before an effect. Effect is produced. So this cause is known as combustion. So combustion, on the other hand, it is the effect of certain causes, and if these causes are not present, there can be no combustion or spontaneous combustion is spontaneous or otherwise. The assistance of a forensic experts plays an important role in arson investigation. So oftentimes, fire has been done maliciously, hence the determination of the nature and cause of the fire depends on the result of examination of an experts based on the evidence collected from the crime scene. The examination will not only save the time of the investigator but also prevent the accusation of an innocent. Under the innocent, so technical aspect of arson cases. Burning or combustion is the rapid oxidation of substances accompanied by the generation of heat and light. Burning occurs when three three essential ingredients are present. So, these three essential ingredients are the fuel, oxygen, and the heat. So, obviously, to create a fire, they must be combustible materials. If it may be solid, liquid, or gas. Strictly speaking, only gases burn. So, the solids and liquids must be heated to liberate flammable gases. Flammable gases. The gases in turn must rise to the proper temperature before ignition occurs. Hence, there must be presence of combustible materials to burn and a source of heat to raise the temperature of the fuel to the kindling point. Finally, there must be a supply. There must be a supply of oxygen since burning is a process of oxidation. So, oxygen may be supplied from the air or from oxidizing agents. Causes of fire. When there are causes of fire, there are also natural causes of fire. So, causes of fire. A fire may be produced intentionally or accidentally. One of the methods of providing arson is to determine systematically the presence of malice and intent in burning the property of another. So, they have a criminal intent or they are intent to gain to burn to they have a criminal intent to gain. So, an accidental fire may arise from the working of certain forces of nature or from negligence in the use of equipment and materials. So, in an accident, the causes of fire may include the overcharge of the gadget. So, natural causes of fire. Sun rays are focused. So, as what I mentioned earlier about the natural cause of it is a sun rays focused with a bubble. So, bubbles focus siya. The only focuses on the bubbles or the window panes, mirrors, or by some other precariously shaped glass articles. So, one of the example of natural causes of fire is the lightning. So, lightning usually strikes a high point of the building and may be traced in a path to the ground. So, they're connected between the sun rays of the sun to the glass and to the ground. So, traces of lightning and are melting of metal parts of the building. So, streaked paint with burned ores, cracks in the walls, broken bricks, and soot driven into rooms from the chimney. So, this lightning are one of the example of the natural causes of fire. So, indications of arson fire. There are 5 indications. So, arson fire is generally indicated by first, burning faster and larger than normal. So, as what I've observed, when they are what they are called sunog na nahitabo, paspas, una muhinay og siga ang kalayo. Kung naay mga object like mga plastic, cartons, or mana din na, then dito mo explode, mudako ang kalayo. So, larger than normal. So, second is often having multiple points of origin. So, ito, hulingon ka ganina. Then, third is use of accelerants. 4 is a time delay device, or a matchbox on cigarette is a 20 minutes fuse. Oh, one of at the crime scene. So, as what we observe when we are watching TV, kanang kasagara gyud sa sunog mahitabo isang kanang planta. Once ganing ang planta masunog, naay mga cans dana or containers nga naisulod or naisulod gas gas. Then once gani nga makuana na siya sa fire sa kalayo, mo explode na siya, mo boto na siya. Dahil usually mo na siyang nakikita sa crime scene after the fire cool down, sabihan nila og pagkuha nila og tubig, pagkuha nila sa tubig sa mga fireman, fire truck, usually pagka cool down sa kalayo, pagkawalan sa kalayo, ang makita gyud na is kasagara is the cans or containers. So heat can be estimated by the condition of window glass. So small shards of glass mean an explosion took place. Crazing means a hat of fire. So crazing, kasagara manggod kung naisunog ta kaduol. Unlit na makaduol kung may mga dalang hose, like mga bombero, sila ang prevent, sila ang mukuan sa fire, pagpawala. So melted copper, aluminum, and other metals usually mean an accident was used. Soot that wipes off easily from glass or slightly charged studs behind the walls means a quick of fire. So combustion, nature, and behavior of fire. So as what I defined earlier, combustion, those are the cause of fire, which is a substance that combines with a gas. So kung walay sunog nga nakahitabo, walay materials or walay gas, walay heat and light nga nangahitabo, then walay combustion nga mahitabo, walay exploding of fires. So as what I said earlier, the example is the hydrogen combined with oxygen will undergo rapid oxidation and produces water and heat. So two types of combustion, flaming. There are two types of combustion, so flaming and glowing. So first is flaming. So flaming, destructive gaseous combustion, where both the fuel and oxidizer are gases. Flaming fire is achieved when gas or vapor is continuously burning. So flaming, glowing. So glowing, absence of fire but presence of very hot materials on surface of which combustion is proceeding. So on flaming, siya ang destructive, magparako. Then ang glowing, siya ang magpaubos. Absence of fire. Kung ang flaming is the destructive of combustion, then destructive gaseous combustion, where both the fuel and gases achieve vapor continuously burning. Mudako ang kalayo. Then glowing is the absence of fire but presence of very hot materials in surface, which is combustion is proceeding. So sa glowing, absence siya sa fire. Hina, kibali nagsugod ko siya sa pinakahinay. Then after that, nakakuhaan siya og mga materials nga like cartons or containers. Then the combustion is proceeding. Mudako ang kalayo nga mudako. Mo-explode man siya, mudako man siya. So after the two kinds, there are two kinds of combustion, complete and incomplete. So first is complete combustion. all of the reactants are consumed. Tanan, na-consume na. Tanan mga expensive things, expensive materials, nga consume, nga kuha na. While sa incomplete combustion, gamay ra nga parts na kibali, napay nabilin, napay mga wala na sunog kaayo, kay naapuhan man diretso na tawag ani na dali na agapan kumbaga. So basic combustion condition. So presence of combustion fuel. So there are 4 basic combustion conditions. So first is the presence of combustion fuel. So presence, naa siya permit. Kibali siya ang evidence, dili siya mawala. Then second is the oxidizer. Third is the energy of ignition or heat applied. 4, interaction of fuel and oxidized constitution chain reaction. So sa combustion also, the example also of this combustion is kanang as what we observe about the mga action movies, like kanang gabangga tawag niya kalibot ko, wait, when the two objects kanang bumper to bumper kumbaga collide, when the two objects collide with each other, then there are causes of fire, like for example ang truck na bangga sagara makita nato sa action movies nga mukuan gid siya kanang ang gasolina sagara is kanang gasolina agas gid na ang gasolina. Then some of the movies para lagi daw nice na ay kuan lang tawon ang ilang kuan movies, then ang uban ginalabayan ng nilang upo sa sigarilyo. Then once ganing nakatong upo sa sigarilyo, malabay datong gas na nagtulo, then the car will be exploded. Mabuto siya. Example of combustion. So the three elements or the three that Hi. So, katong example na ako is, so car, labahan siya opo sa sigarilyo din, pag-aabay niya atong gas, the car will be exploded. So, na-explode ni buto ang car. Then, the technical aspects of those cases, of those burning of car is ang essential, the three essential ingredients, which is the fuel, oxygen, and heat. Kung walay oxygen, walay heat, walay sunog na metabo. But adtong example nako, lagi siya combustion na metabo. Kay naman presence ang tulo ka essential ingredients. And those are the fuel, oxygen, and the heat. So, and the heat, then matter. So matter air, oxidation, pyrolysis, and flame. So, matter. Matter is an elements and compounds composed of atoms combined forming molecules. Air, composed of 21% oxygen and 75% nitrogen. Oxidation, it is a combination of elements and compounds with oxygen producing stable substances. Those compounds and elements that combine with oxygen and produces fire are called flammable substance, and the process is called combustion. So flammable substance, oxidation. Though combination of those three essential ingredients, the heat, the fuel, the heat, and the light. So when the oxygen produces fire are called flammable substance. So flammable kasagara katong kanang makabantay ta sa mga truck, na gini mga truck flammable ni nakabutang dana sa ila kanang mga gas, flammable. Dapat keep distance, bawal ka magkuan, magtapon sigarilyo, may mga apo sa sigarilyo, bawal. Kaya nga no, sigarilyo din. Second nga example is kanang gasolinahan. Kabantay mo na ay mga na ay mga bawal. Na ay bawal na don't use phone, don't throw smoke, and etc. So second is the pyrolysis. So comes from the Greek word pyro. Pyro meaning fire. Then lysis is decompose. So fire, kung atong isagol, fire decompose. So it is the process of decomposition of material to simpler compounds brought about by heat from fire. So third is flame. Flame is a gaseous reaction where flame of hot gases rises by convection when air and its oxygen is maintained by solid soot or liquid aerosol in a closed room. So theoretically, if oxygen falls below 15%, combustion rate decreases. Then if the temperature reaches 900 to 1000 degrees Celsius, post flashover from fires with oxygen concentration is only 5 to 8%. If 0 to 5% and the temperature reaches 1000 degrees Celsius, it is a flaming hot. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is the presence of nitrogen helps delivers extra oxygen to continue the combustion reaction. For example, presence of nitrates in the fuel. So, color temperature of incandescent hot object glowing fire. So, there are 6 color temperatures. So, first is dark red. Dark red is to 500 to 600 degrees Celsius. Second is dull red, 600 to 800 degrees Celsius. So, bright cherry red, 800 to 1000 degrees Celsius. Fourth is the orange. So, orange is the 1000 to 1200 degrees Celsius. Fifth is bright yellow. So, bright yellow is the 1200 to 1400 degrees Celsius. Sixth and lastly is white. 1400 to 1600 degrees Celsius. So fire triangle. So in fire triangle there are three. So first is the fuel, second is the heat ignition, and 3 is oxidant. So if there are fire triangle, there are also what we are called exclusive explosive triangle. So color of smoke and odor being evolved. So there are 7 colors of smoke. So first is white. So white is humid materials. Then second is light gray, hay and vegetable matter. So third is black. Black is lack of air with huge flames, usually petroleum based. Fourth is reddish brown, thick yellow, brownish yellow. So it is called nitrocellulose fires, sulfur and sulfuric nitric or other chemicals. Fifth, beating smoke. So it is called indicates the presence of sulfur. Then 6 is routine. So it is the cabbage-like odor. Indicates the presence of carbon disulfide. Then 7 is the garlic odor. So it indicates the presence of phosphorus. So there are 3 applications of heat to fire investigation. First, heat as applied for igniting fire. Second is heat as applied for increasing rate of chemical reaction. Then third is the transfer of heat. So when we say transfer of heat, there are 3. First is the conduction, convection, and radiation. So first, conduction. Conduction transfer by contact between moving molecules from hot to cold areas. Second is the convection. So convection is the distribution of heat by circulating medium. Third is the radiation. So radiation, it is the critical where it aids fire to spread and promotes ignition of other fuels. Then, so 2 types of heat reaction, exothermic and endothermic. So when we say exothermic, heat is released from the system, while the exothermic is heat absorbed to the system. So exothermic is the release of fire, release of heat, while endothermic is the one who absorbed the heat. Then the source of ignition. So it involves burning the fuel to characteristic temperature by convection, conduction, or radiation of heat until it can sustain combustion. These following are the sources of ignition. So sparks, arcs, primary igniters, lighters, hot object, surface, and friction. So first, primary igniters. So in primary igniters, the example of this is the matches. So matches, it is the most common device for kindling a flame. It is composed of combustible material combined with a heat containing both fuel and oxidizer that can be ignited by friction. So there are 2 types of igniters. First is the strike. So strike anywhere or the kitchen match. The tip contains a high percentage of phosphorus 6-sulfide, or the paper is 3 and the ground glass. Then so the component of this is the oxidant equals potassium chlorate. Fuel. When we fuel, it is the sulfur or paraffin plus binder or glue plus filter or the silica. Then the second types of primary igniters is the safety match, wherein it will ignite only using abrasives or the rough materials. The component of this is the oxidant equals lead phosphorus. Then lighters. When we say lighters, It can explode when exposed to a high temperature and form of a leakage when exposed to a reduced atmosphere pressure such as airplane. Then if if the primary igniters have the two types, then the lighter also have a two types. So first is the electrical element type. So electrical or the element type, it is electrically connected to a battery of vehicles, current, and etc. Then the second one is the light fuel lighters. Contain liquid butane or light petroleum as fuel in a compartment under pressure. Then sparks or the arcs. It can be produced using electrical current discharging through the air or insulator or tiny fragment of burning or glowing solid. Then third is the hot object surface. Hot object surface, it is may convert the fuel to vapor, which eventually starts a fire. So friction is between two moving objects. Object or surfaces generates heat. So example of this friction is brake shoes of automobiles can become extremely hot. Then other source of ignition. So there are 7. Then it is radiant heat, chemical reaction, other source, fireplace and chimneys, trash burners and bonfires, hot or molten metals. 6 is mechanical sparks. Then 7 is fire residue. When we say fire residue, that is during discharge of rifle flakes escaping from the muzzle of a short barrel handgun is burning. These flakes can ignite finely divided photon and similar combustibles at very close range to 1 to 4 feet. And the 8 is smoking, lightning, spontaneous combustion, ignition of electrical lining. Then laboratory identification. So recognition, collection, and perseverance of physical evidence. So in recognizing fire, identify first the origin. In this case, many evidence can be recovered, such as partially burned and unburned fuels. This is usually trapped in devices or under the collapsed chimneys and etc. In collecting physical evidence such as debris, use your nose. If a vapor detector is not available, collect as many as you can until the container is completely filled. If the container is completely filled with debris, evaporation of volatile accelerants will be prevented even if the container is open. So, preservation. In preservation, usual container used is unused metal paint cans or glass with a screw top. Laboratory examination have color test using or the Sudan block. In this method of examination, the accelerants are allowed to evaporate and the vapors are reacted with this chemical until pink color of solution will appear, which indicates the presence of any accelerant. So second is the confirmatory examination. Gas chromatography with his trace. This analytical method is used to detect the specific volatile accelerants by comparing it with known standards such as kerosene, gasoline, etc. How to minimize fire? So first, fire incidents can be prevented by better building designs and fire safety practice. So that's all for the chapter 11, fire and ARSON mitigation. So recap. In chapter 11, we differentiate between the fire and ARSON investigator. We define fire, the objectives and purpose of fire investigation, classification of fire investigation, incendiary fire, and 5 classification of fire investigation, and those are natural, accidental, unknown origin, suspicious, incendiary. So in the incendiary or obvious arson. So in incendiary fire, we define what is it or what is it all about. So issues in fire investigation, 3 issues of fire investigation, arson investigation and the technical aspect of arson cases, causes of fire, natural causes of fire, and these under examples, then indicators of arson fire, the 5 indications of arson fire, crazing, what it means, combustion, nature and behavior of fire. So in combustion, we define combustion as a burning reaction in which substance combines with a gas, and the example, the two types of combustion, which are the flaming and the glowing, 2 kinds of combustion, the complete and incomplete combustion, the 4 basic combustion condition, the matter, the definition of matter, air, oxidation, pyrolysis, flame, and also the theoretically, the nitrogen, the color, temperature of incandescent hot object or the glowing fire, 6 color temperature, the fire triangle and also the explosive triangle, the color of smoke and odor being evolved, there are 7, and the application of heat to fire investigation, there are 3, and the transfer of heat also 3, the 2 types of heat reaction, the source of ignition, the primary igniters, the matches, the 2 types of primary igniters, the lighters, the 2 types of lighter also, and the sparks arc or arcs, hot objects or surface, friction, and the 8 other source of ignition. Also the laboratory identification, the recognition, collection, and preservation of physical evidence. And lastly is the 5 classification of fire investigation, and those are natural, accidental, unknown origin, suspicious, incendiary. So in the incendiary or obvious arson. So in incendiary fire, we define what is it or what is it all about. So issues in fire investigation, 3 issues of fire investigation, arson investigation and the technical aspect of arson cases, causes of fire, natural causes of fire, and these under examples, then indicators of arson fire, the 5 indications of arson fire, crazing, what it means, combustion, nature and behavior of fire. So in combustion, we define combustion as a burning reaction in which substance combines with a gas, and the example, the 2 types of combustion, which are the flaming and the glowing, 2 kinds of combustion, the complete and incomplete combustion, the 4 basic combustion condition, the matter, the definition of matter, air, oxidation, pyrolysis, flame, and also the theoretically, the nitrogen, the color, temperature of incandescent hot object or the glowing fire, 6 color temperature, the fire triangle and also the explosive triangle, the color of smoke and odor being evolved, there are 7, and the application of heat to fire investigation, there are 3, and the transfer of heat also 3, the 2 types of heat reaction, the source of ignition, the primary igniters, the matches, the two types of primary igniters, the lighters, the two types of lighter also, and the sparks arc or arcs, hot objects or surface, friction, and the 8 other source of ignition. Also, the laboratory identification, the recognition, collection, and preservation of physical evidence. And lastly is the laboratory examination, the two laboratory examination. And lastly is how to minimize the fire. There are 2 better building designs and fire safety practice. And that's all. Thank you. That's all for this video. Thank you.